everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Josie. Today I'm going to do something maybe a little different, I don't know. I am going to do more on the bullying series, but I had a question from one of my friends and subscribers. How do you create a new life for yourself as a widow without children? Finding yourself. So I decided that I would do some research on it, plus maybe talk about my personal experiences. As you can see, I've had kind of a colorful life, but I've experienced a lot of the things that I talk about. Anyway, some information that I found, it's rewriting the manual on being a widow. You know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of advice and maybe they haven't experienced it, and it's easy to tell someone how to behave, how to act. So in fact, a lot of this goes with the divorce, and I will speak on that because I've experienced both the divorce and losing a husband. So when one loses a mate, why is there only one way to behave? My point, there is not. Everyone handles losses different. There's no set way. And if someone tells you to get over it or how to live, or you have a year for grieving, a certain length of time, you know what? Just let them talk, and you make your own decisions. You can start over. Does not mean you did not love your spouse. Would your spouse want you to do nothing and give up on life? Think not. First of all, as far as moving goes, I believe, and I think even professionally, this is some of the advice, that the first year you should not make any drastic, decisions, because your first year is like mass confusion. You're going through things, you're getting rid of things that belong to your spouse. So you should actually wait a year, like before selling your home. And the first year, as I said, is more difficult. Nights are the worst. Do what you want, not all the advice family and friends hand out. I always said at night when they're with their families and you're all alone, no one really cares. Oh, they may care some, but with them being so busy with their lives, they really don't know what loneliness is for you. And this is the same with divorce. Get involved, volunteer if you don't have a job, become more active in church, meet new people. And this person that I read about, she had a lot of negative comments because she started dating. So people were telling her, she hadn't waited long enough, she didn't grieve long enough. Everyone has advice, especially when they've never went through the difficulties. So and by the way, this is not a replacement for professional therapy, and I will put that down in my video, and it's not for children. It is a lot more difficult when you have children and you've lost your mate. Whether you're female or male, I think the stress is the same. In fact, I've always thought men had a harder time readjusting, especially when they have children to raise. But I think that, we're all different. Some people say that, okay, I'll use for an example. Say that you had a spouse that did everything for you, paid all the bills, took care of everything that was necessary, and you actually didn't know financially what was going on, that is going to be more difficult for you. That's why I totally believe that both, say, husband and wife should make decisions together, because we do not know how long our life is going to be. It can change in a split second. But it is really hard. This person that I actually am doing this video for, it's a sweet, wonderful lady, and she's had some severe health issues since her husband passed. And she was a caregiver for a long time. And that is really hard. Sometimes I've seen it when the latter part of my nursing career, I worked in nursing homes. And I actually seen where caregivers died before their spouse, because it's really draining. I mean, and if you don't have any help, it's a 24/7 job. And so I will talk a little bit about my life with a divorce and a death. I'll start with the death first. My husband was diagnosed with cancer. He had lung surgery. He did pretty well for a year or two, and then his cancer returned. He also had MS, but he was mobile. He never did completely cripple until the cancer got to him. I was his caregiver. I devoted 100% of my life, and you can ask any family member or anyone who knew me, I did devote 100%. Because when he passed, I never wanted to feel guilty that maybe there was something I could do. I did everything medically and what the doctor said. The last 3 months of his life, he was in a hospital bed in our living room, and I slept on an air mattress in the living room because he did not want to be alone. So me and my little dog slept on the air mattress. He was a really devout Christian. I think it helped him through his process. And this might sound weird to some of you, but I know it helped me. We knew definitely he was passing. And while he was in the hospital bed, I actually boxed up his clothes. And I know some of you are probably horrified, but it helped me because he was still alive in the living room. And so I actually got things ready. So after his funeral, I had all these things to give to his kids. And several years before he even got terribly ill, he was married before, and his ex had remarried, and I met her. She was a very nice lady. I purchased 4 albums, and I made albums for all his children. And in the first page of each album, I put a picture of him and his first wife. And I know some of you think, oh, wow. But we all have baggage. And he had 4 wonderful children with her. And their marriage didn't work out. And they had divorced years and years before I ever met him. So I won't even go into details. I do not know. But anyway, when he passed away, I had all these things ready for his children and still keep in close contact with them. But I was able to, I'm not saying it wasn't difficult and hard. In fact, one of the hardest things for me, and I sent this message to the person that I'm making this video for, the hardest thing for me was going to the grocery store. And don't laugh at that, but because him and I did everything together. And we went grocery shopping. And it just seemed weird going grocery shopping by myself. It took me probably a year to get over that. But I was able to go on with life. I think I waited, it was about a year and a half before I sold my home. And I remarried. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, you have to ignore what other people think. You're the one that's behind closed doors at night, lonely. And when you're ready to start life over, because there is life out there, that doesn't mean you didn't love your spouse. But you can love more than one person. And I know there's some people that are going to disagree with me. Sorry. But my heart is big enough that I've loved several people in my life. So, anyway, I think the best advice I can give, and from what I have read, is to get involved. Don't stay alone if all is possible. Meet new people. Now, when I lost my husband, I was very active in church. I actually was a deacon in the church, and then later on became an elder. So I spent lots of hours down in church, and I had a wonderful church family that helped me through it. So my advice always is get involved. Don't hibernate in your house and hide from the world, because it's not going to get better if you do that. And like I said, I know sometimes health issues make it a little more difficult, and it takes a while. It took me several years to actually enjoy being by myself. It's not something that you're going to get over overnight. It is not. But you will get there. Never give up. So now I'm going to talk about divorce, because you're still alone. And when my first husband and I got divorced, and I filed for divorce, can't ever blame him. And that was 6 months after my daughter passed away. I was shocked at how people reacted. People that were friends with both of us actually chose sides. And I'm going to use the word ignorance, because that is ignorant. And I lived in a small town. And because my ex, his parents had had ranches and were wealthy, most people chose my husband, or ex-husband, which was so stupid, because we always remained friends, and I was friends with his family, ate dinner with them. And I've never said this out loud, but some of the same people that have ignored me at that time never called up and said, hey, you want to go for coffee, or you want to go out for lunch? Some of those same people, I read on Facebook how lonely they are because they lost their mate, their husband. And I think, see, you never know until you go through something. So don't judge, you know. Don't, real friends don't just disappear out of your life. Remember that. Fake friends do. And sometimes money and greed make a lot. They're big decisions for some people. They're not based on true friendship. And I will just use for an example, and this has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but like I said, I worked in a nursing home the latter part of my career because I did not want to work nights. And if I went back to the hospital, I would have had to work nights. So I had the boss ahead of me tell me that there was a private person that when they turned their bell on or light on, you had to go to them first. And I don't believe in that. And I took a chance. I didn't lose my job, but I said, you know what? My patients all get my attention. Money has nothing to do with it. I don't care if you have they had a lot of money or they were on welfare. They still get good care. And I did take my chance because I could have maybe lost my job, but that's me speaking. Anyway, I didn't mean to put that into this video, but it just came out. So what I'm trying to say is make decisions for yourself. You can start over. It's not easy. One of the hardest things in life is change. I've had so many changes in my life, I think it's actually become easy for me. But it wasn't at first. It was very difficult. But life is good. Enjoy it. We all have ups and downs. And if you're a widow for the first time or you went through a divorce, you can make it. And you'll look back at it a few years from now and you'll think, wow, I don't know how I got through that, but I made it, and life is good. So I'm going to end this. I'm not mentioning my dear friend's name. I hope you get something out of this video, maybe just a little ray of hope that life goes on. And another thing, the person that you loved, if they were suffering, and would you want them to live in that horrible pain that they were going through? It's a little harder if, say, your spouse got killed in an accident or it was an illness that no one expected. But when you were a caregiver for a long time and you watched the person that you love suffer, be happy that they're gone. And I believe if you believe in the Lord, they're in heaven. And it's a much better place. So anyway, I will end this. God bless. And I'm sure I'm going to get my critics. And remember, I love comments as long as they're, you don't have to agree with me, but as long as they're not rude and nasty, I leave them. If they're rude and nasty, I delete them. So have a great day. Bye, everyone.